They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
The NBA has a rules problem. Over the years, we've seen the league change rules in order to accommodate the changing game, and I believe that it's time for another one of those changes. It's creating a product on the court that is inconsistent, frustrating to watch, and is not in line with the spirit of the game. It's time for the NBA to address this issue. What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk about the problem with foul baiting, with the way that players in today's league have sort of bent the rules and used it to their advantage in order to draw contact and earn themselves free throws. And let's be clear here, I am not blaming the players for doing this. Yes, it is frustrating to watch, and the initial reaction is to blame the player who is, doing this insane foul baiting, flopping, whatever you want to call it. Right, like the first instinct is to blame the player and blame them and say, this guy is not doing the right thing, right? And that's something that I have done in the past with players who have come before. But as I've, gotten more into it, I've kind of realized that this is more of a failure at the league level, because if the rules incentivize this, then why wouldn't these players do this, right? It makes a ton of sense for them to want to get the 3 easy free throws. If they can pull this off, it's free points for them, especially if you're a good free throw shooter, you can pull off this move consistently, which there are plenty of players in the league now that are able to do this. And there's some stars out there who don't have this move in their arsenal. They don't use it a lot. There's a few who do, and there's a lot of them out there who have decided not to exploit the rules this way for whatever reason. But it's really a failure at the league office level, because the way that this is officiated and the way that the refs have been making these calls, especially this season, I've noticed it a lot more, but even it's been trending this way over the past couple. It's creating a product that is just not fun for anybody, and it's really, really frustrating to watch this continue to happen. And I'm talking specifically about the move where the offensive player is generating all the contact on the foul call. And partially the reason that I'm talking about this tonight is because we saw Luka Doncic do this like multiple times tonight in this game against the Warriors, where he would, go up for a 3, get the defender to like bite even just slightly, like a slight bite on the pump fake, even just like barely leave their feet or not even leave their feet at all, where they kind of go up to start to contest the shot, and then Luka jumps forward into the defender, like throws his arms underneath their arms and goes up, and he gets the foul call, right? And he is creating all the contact there. The defender has not moved forward into his landing space, which we know is a foul, and it should be. The defender is not hitting him on the arm, which we know is a foul, and it should be. Luka is moving his entire body and his arms and the ball into the defender and jumping up and creating all of the contact. And pretty much everybody would agree that is kind of lame, right? Even if you're a Mavericks fan, I think you kind of have to agree that that's a pretty lame call. And I'm sure that Mavericks fans have complained about it if a guy on the other team has done it to them in the past. Like, I get it if you're a fan of Luka or a fan of Trae Young or James Harden or a lot of the guys who have popularized this move, but it's getting frustrating from a fan's perspective. Regardless of what fan, what team you're a fan of, it's just frustrating to watch this, because that there's not much that the defender can do at that point. They're just trying to play normal defense. They're in a normal spot, and if the opposing player is, has practiced this and worked on this skill of being able to, basically draw contact where there is none, and that's going to get a whistle from the referees, it feels almost hopeless at points. And Trae Young has had this similar move, and it was a story a couple of weeks ago earlier on in the season where he would kind of go into the lane, get a defender on his back, and then stop and wait for the guy to crash into him, which is, a similar thing where the offensive guy is creating all the contact, and they're always going to be the one who gets the call, because it's just, for some reason, that's the way that the referees have decided to call this. And I just think it needs to be addressed from a league level. They change rules all the time, right? The NBA has changed rules over the past couple of years, whether it's like changing the shot clock to reset to 14 off of an offensive rebound rather than the full 24, or there's plenty of things that the league has changed over the past couple of years, even changing things early on, like in the early conception of the league, where they've there have been plenty of things that are like detrimental to the product on the court, or aren't fun to watch. It slows the game down too much, and they've done a good job of shifting things and trying to make the game move at a faster pace, which is generally more enjoyable for the audience, more enjoyable for people watching, and I like it. I like the higher scoring games. I like the higher level of 3-point shots attempted. I like the higher level of offensive play all around. I think it is a more entertaining product and it's more fun to watch, contrary to what some of the old guys on TV will tell you, right? Specifically Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, a lot of other guys out there who kind of rant about how the modern game is not as tough or whatever, all that crap like that. I think it's a lot more fun to watch than it ever has been at this point, but this one issue is something specifically that I think needs to be addressed, and I'm hoping that the league will take a look at this in the offseason. Like, obviously you're not going to change a rule in the middle of the year, but this offseason I would love to see this looked at, because it's been a problem for a couple of years now. And I'm worrying that it's only going to get worse, because the first guy to really do this was James Harden. There have been a couple of others in the past who have tried this stuff, but James Harden is the first guy to really do this on, a very consistent level as a superstar player, right? We've seen him with his, triple step back, who people have called a travel, and then the foul drawing on the same move that I was talking about earlier, as well as getting into the lane, drawing contact. Harden has, been the master of sort of tricking the referees into giving him a lot of free throws, not necessarily tricking them, but just exploiting the rules in a way to get a ton of free throws, right? And we saw that in his MVP seasons and throughout his years with the Rockets, where he was doing this a lot. And I'm sure that these two guys right here, Trae and Luka, both looked at that and they were like, hey, we're capable of doing this too. And as guys who have just recently come into the league, like when they're teenagers, they're 16, 17 watching the NBA, seeing James Harden doing all this stuff, they're like, great, I can just learn that. And they've been doing this for 5 years now, and they can, hone those skills over time, doing it as early teenagers. We see this shift in the league all the time, right? Where we saw it with the three-point revolution started by Steph Curry. Now all these young players in the league, all of them coming in have the ability to shoot the three-pointer. And there have been shifts in the league over time, right? Where players, come up in the mold of other guys who were stars during the time of their basketball development. And so for Trae and Luka, watching James Harden as teenagers, I'm sure that they incorporated a lot of those moves into their skill set. And so if this is going to continue to be encouraged by the NBA, encouraged by the league, then, these two guys are both superstars in their own rights, and they're going to be around for a very long time. And so if they're allowed to keep doing these things, this flopping, foul baiting, drawing all these calls, similar to how James Harden has been doing for the last 5 years, what's going to happen when guys who are 13, 14, 15, playing in middle school, playing high school levels, they start entering the NBA a couple of seasons from now, and we're just going to see this at an all-time high, where every single star is going to be able to do this. Right now, like I said, we don't see every star in the NBA doing it. There's plenty of guys out there who don't have this move in their bag right now, but I think that if this rule is not changed, 5 years from now, every star player in the league is going to be doing this same move, and it's just not going to be a good thing for the league and for the game of basketball. It just isn't going to be. And I have no problem with players taking, parts of games from players they admire and, dabbling in all of those sorts of things and using the rules to, get the best product available to them, right? This is what the league is encouraged. This is what the rulebook encourages players and teams to do right now, and so of course these guys are going to do it, right? Luka shot 14 free throws tonight, and he was very successful using this tactic to draw a ton of fouls, get to the free throw line, and ultimately that probably won them the game, because if he doesn't take that many free throws, it was a 2-point victory for them tonight. So what happens if one of those things isn't called? Well, it probably goes another way, right? So I have no problem with the players doing this, because the rulebook has incentivized them to do it, and so them growing up seeing this be successful, it only makes sense that they would want to emulate the things that they saw being used to win at an MVP level, right? James Harden won an MVP doing this for a whole season. He probably could have had a couple more MVPs had certain things gone a different way, right? Bottom line is James Harden has been a very successful player in the NBA over the last 5 years, and so throughout the development of all these young players, seeing him be so successful, it only makes sense that they would want to try some of these similar things. And so that's why I think it's going to become a bigger deal in the next couple of years if this rule is not changed. So I just think that it's making it very frustrating to watch these games because of all the stoppages, and it just, like, everybody watching the game, like if you're unbiased, right, if you're watching it from the perspective of not being a fan of either team, it's just a lame call. It really just is. Like, it just slows the game down. You know what they're trying to do, you know, just trying to draw the free throws with like manufacturing a foul, manufacturing contact, just creating something that wasn't there to begin with, and just watching the game as an unbiased fan, it just does feel really, really lame for players to continue to do this. So I do hope that the league considers changing this in the offseason. Just, I don't even know if it has to be a rule change, but maybe just more clearly defining to their referees what should constitute a foul and what should not, and whether something like this should be an offensive foul or should it just be a no call. Maybe it depends on how much of the guy's body he's putting in, because I have seen some of these backfire where a guy tries to jump into the defender and they're so aggressive about it that it does get called an offensive foul. I would like to see that called more, maybe called an offensive foul or just let it go, because it's just, if you're creating contact with the defender, the guy on the other side of the ball is just playing good defense. You know, they're in position, they're just doing a normal contest, not entering your landing space. I just don't think it should be a foul on the defender. And so I just think that it would be a much better product on the court, be much easier to watch if a lot of these things were left uncalled. So I think that's about all I have on this kind of topic. I just do hope that the league considers taking a look at this, because honestly, it's going to get a lot worse. Like I said, young players seeing this be rewarded time after time after time, and some of the biggest stars in the league today are guys who are employing this tactic and getting great success with it. So it only makes sense that young guys would continue to do this. And so in 3, 4, 5 years, if this is not changed, I think it's only going to get a lot worse from here. But yeah, like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this. What should the league do about it? Do you have a problem with players doing this type of thing? Or am I just yelling at the clouds, complaining, whatever. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments, and with all that said, I will see you guys next time.